This program is presented to you in color.
As a kid, Spider-Man was special. I mean, I would run around in Spider-Man pajamas, climbing trees and jumping across furniture, and I believed on some level that the pajamas were helping. The Tobey Maguire films were some of my earliest theater experiences, and I wanted to be the next Spider-Man after Tobey retired. And the 90s cartoon was just, it was everything. Saturday morning, that dope theme song, and guys, I still love Spider-Man. Maybe more now than I did then, which is a weird thing to say about a character who you've been following since you were small enough to fit into footy pajamas. But here's the question I've been wanting to talk about all month long. One that I think is actually kind of uncomfortable if you really let yourself go there. Why do we never let Spider-Man be happy? He loses everyone. He fails at everything outside the suit. He can't pay his rent. He can't keep a relationship. He can't make it to a single one of MJ's plays. The Parker luck is practically its own character at this point. And we keep coming back. Every version of this character, in every medium, in every generation, we keep showing up to watch him lose things. And what I really want to dive into is why. That's what this video is about. And today, the day Brand New Day hits theaters, feels like exactly the right time to ask it. And by the way, this video is part of Brand New Month here on Cool Beans. 4 Spider-Man videos, plus weekly live streams, and community discussions all month long leading up to Spider-Man Brand New Day. So if you're looking for a cozy corner of the internet to geek out over Spider-Man, we'd love to have you. You'll find everything you need in the description below. All right, let's get started. So let's start with the thing that makes Spider-Man so dang special. Because it's not the costume, it's not the rogues gallery, and we just spent an entire video last week making the case that he has the best rogues in comics. But it's not that, it's the small things. Let me tell you what I mean. There's a scene in Spider-Man 2 where Peter Parker is doing his laundry, and his whites have gone pink because he threw his Spider-Man suit in with everything else. And it's just this tiny, mundane, completely human moment in the middle of a superhero movie. And I remember watching it as a kid and not fully appreciating how special that was. But 25 years later, after all the superhero slop we've consumed, I don't think anything comes close to the relatability that that version of Peter Parker put on full display in those films. Because Peter Parker does laundry. He forgets to separate his colors. He owes rent. His door doesn't close properly. He misses Mary Jane's plays. Not because something dramatic happened, but because being Spider-Man takes up all the time that a normal person would use to just live. He's failing classes despite being one of the most brilliant young scientists in New York. He falls asleep in the subway. He can't afford groceries. And none of this is incidental. None of this is window dressing that exists to make him feel grounded. This is the whole argument. This is why Peter Parker is different from every other superhero ever created. Tony Stark doesn't do laundry. Steve Rogers doesn't owe rent. Thor doesn't fail classes. Bruce Banner is a literal genius who runs a lab. Even Clark Kent, who is probably the closest thing DC has to this kind of character, Clark Kent is a successful journalist. He's fine. His civilian life is hard in a very general sense, but he's not scrambling. He's not watching his whites go pink in a broken washing machine at midnight because he spent the evening stopping a mugging. Peter is scrambling, always. And the Raimi films understood that completely in a way that I think almost no other superhero adaptation ever has, before or since. They treated Peter's civilian life as equally important to his hero life. The drama of whether he can make it to MJ's plays sits right alongside the drama of whether he can stop Doc Ock. Both matter, both have stakes, and both are real. And that is what makes Spider-Man appeal to literally everyone. Kids love him because he's exciting and fun, and he swings through New York and says funny things while he fights. But adults love him because they know what it feels like to be brilliant at something and still not able to make rent, to care desperately about the people in your life and to still let them down, to do the right thing constantly at a cost you can't stop paying. Spider-Man grows with you, and that's rare because most characters you love as a kid feel smaller when you come back to them as an adult. Spider-Man feels bigger because you understand more of what he's carrying. And what he's carrying, the weight of being Peter Parker on top of the weight of being Spider-Man, is the specific thing that makes his losses hit as hard as they do. Which brings me to the losses. Let's go back to 2014's Amazing Spider-Man 2. It's admittedly not the best Spider-Man, but holy crap, are Andrew Garfield and Emma Stone brilliant. And then the ending. Gwen is falling, Peter shoots the web, and it's literally reaching for her, but he didn't save her in time. And the impact is too much. I don't think I've ever felt a superhero movie hit me quite like that. It still gets me teary-eyed when I watch it because the two films had done the work. You believed in Peter and Gwen. You believed in what they had, and you wanted Peter to be happy. But then it was gone because Peter Parker couldn't save someone he loved, despite everything that he can do as Spider-Man. That's the thing about Spider-Man's losses that separates them from every other hero's losses. They're not noble. They don't feel like the right thing happening, even though it hurts. They feel like failure. Something that should have been preventable, like the cruelest possible version of the thing that was always going to happen. Gwen Stacy, Uncle Ben, Harry Osborn, Captain Stacy, Aunt May, every person Peter Parker loves exists in the blast radius of being Spider-Man. And the tragedy is that his presence in their lives is part of what puts them there. And we talked about this last week in the villain video. The Green Goblin works because he understands that the most devastating thing you can do to Spider-Man isn't to fight him. It's to go after the people Peter loves, because Peter's love is the crack in the armor. And we talked about that in the hero video of the Doomsday Clock series. Go check that out if you're interested. And the interesting thing is that there's a reason the losses keep coming. A reason we keep accepting them. A reason that we keep showing up anyway. And it has everything to do with the Parker luck. Now, I think the Parker luck is one of the most misunderstood concepts in Spider-Man's entire mythology. People talk about it like it's a running joke, like it's just the universe being mean to Peter for comedic effect. And yeah, sometimes it is. Sometimes his pizza delivery job falls apart at the exact wrong moment, or his web shooters jam mid-fight, or he shows up to class with his Spider-Man mask still on. It's funny, it's charming, it's part of why we love him. But the Parker luck runs deeper than that. The Parker luck isn't just bad timing. It's not just inconvenience. It's a structural feature of what it means to be Peter Parker. It's the universe's way of constantly, relentlessly reminding him that you can't have both. You can't be Spider-Man and have the life that you want. Every time Peter gets close to something, a relationship, a job, a moment of genuine happiness, being Spider-Man takes it away. And it's not because he made the wrong choice. It's actually because he made the right one. That is the really uncomfortable part. The Parker luck isn't a punishment for bad decisions. It's a consequence of good ones. Peter keeps choosing responsibility over what he actually wants, and the universe keeps sending him the bill every time. Think about Spider-Man 2, which I will go to my grave arguing is one of the greatest comic book films ever made. Fight me. Peter gives up the suit. He decides he's done, and for a brief, wonderful moment, things get better. He can see properly, his body heals, Mary Jane is within reach, he's doing better in school. I mean, he can enjoy a hot dog while the police are busy cleaning up the city. His world is lighter. And then something happens that he can't walk away from. And he puts the suit back on because that's who he is. And the moment he makes that choice, the Parker luck comes back with it, because the Parker luck isn't something that happens to Peter. It's the cost of being Spider-Man. The reason we love Peter Parker, the reason this character has lasted 60 years across every medium, every generation, every demographic, is not in spite of the Parker luck. It's because of it. Because Peter never stops. He loses Uncle Ben and he keeps going. He loses Gwen and he keeps going. He loses Harry. He loses his reputation. He loses his sense of who he is, and he keeps going because he made a decision a long time ago in a moment of terrible guilt that he was going to be the person who shows up no matter what. And with great power comes great responsibility. And that is what makes him the most relatable hero ever created. Because most of us aren't invincible. Most of us can't fly or lift tanks or reshape reality, but most of us do know what it feels like to keep going anyway. To get back up after losing something that mattered, to choose responsibility when you really, really don't want to, and to do the right thing at a cost you can't afford and do it again tomorrow. Peter Parker is the superhero for people who are tired, for people who have lost things. That's why he works at 5 years old and 35, because at 5, you love him for the suit, the action, and all that. But at 35, you love him for the perseverance. Which, of course, brings me to the uncomfortable answer to the question I asked at the start of this video. Why do we never let Spider-Man be happy? The unfortunate answer to this question is because we need him to. We don't let Spider-Man be happy because his unhappiness is the thing that connects him to us. The moment Peter Parker gets everything he wants, the girl, the career, the apartment with the door that closes properly, the life, he stops being the most relatable superhero ever created and starts being just another superhero. But the truth is that at its core, we don't want that. Not really. Because what we actually love and what has kept this character alive for 60 years and what brings people back to him at 5 and 35 and 65 is the gap, the distance between who Peter is and who he wants to be. The constant, grinding, never quite resolved tension between the suit and the life. That tension is the character. Stan Lee understood this from the very beginning. The whole point of Spider-Man, the thing that made him radical when he was created in 1962, most superheroes have civilian identities that are basically fine. The superhero life is the hard part. For Peter, both lives are hard all the time, simultaneously. And we keep reading, we keep watching, we keep engaging because there's something deeply comforting about a character who keeps going despite everything. A character who keeps choosing the right thing even when the right thing costs him more than he can afford, who wears the weight of it visibly in the missed plays, in the face he makes when the web catches Gwen and it's already too late. We need Peter Parker to suffer because his suffering is honest. It looks like ours. It feels like ours. And watching him get back up every single time in every version of this story, it does something to us that no other superhero can. It makes us feel like maybe we can get back up too. That's why Spider-Man Brand New Day matters. As the next chapter of a character who has been telling the same essential story since 1962. A broke, unlucky kid from Queens who keeps going anyway. There was a long period where we weren't getting that from Tom Holland's version, but him and Marvel listened, and here we are. Today, in theaters, that story continues, and I'll be there. That's Brand New Month. 4 videos, 4 different angles on the same character, a kid from Queens who has been making us feel things since 1962, and somehow keeps finding new ways to do it. So let's all go to the theater and enjoy the movie. And if you've been watching these videos all month, thank you, seriously. The Brew Crew makes this whole thing worth doing. And Doomsday Clock Season 2 starts next week. And we're going to keep pulling on these threads right up until December. I'll see you there.